assuming that you want to, say, cut clips from your podcast. And a lot of podcasts do this. This is very standard in the YouTube podcast ecosphere, I guess you could say. I do it. It's kind of like the Joe Rogan format. I'm sure he didn't invent it, but he does it quite a bit where he'll upload the full episodes and then you'll see smaller clips being sprinkled out here and there. I do recommend doing that because it's just additional content, meaning additional views, which, if you're monetizing your content, it's additional ad revenue, different additional ways for people to discover you, et cetera, et cetera. But these are some recommendations as to whether or not you should be publishing your clips to the existing podcast channel or onto their own, their own clips channel, basically. So here's why you would want to merge your full podcast episodes and your clips onto one channel. First of all, be easier promotional synergy, as YouTube says. So you can use your clips to push viewers to the full show. You might have you want to have one unified audience in one place, which that's a big one for me. If you have two different channels, if you have your full podcast channel and then your clips channel, you could be cannibalizing some of your full podcast viewers to go over here. It's also just easier to engage with one singular audience versus having to do it in multiple places, something to consider. If your full shows are packaged as a series and clips are packaged topically, that could be a reason to do one channel, because then you are enabling different discovery methods, different ways for people to find your channel. Obviously, it's less work to have one channel versus two. And also you reduce the risk of splitting your audiences between those two channels, as I mentioned above, kind of cannibalizing your subscribers between the two channels. Reasons to split your podcast, your full episode and clip channels into two would be your production style for your full shows and your clips is very different. So, for example, if when you film your full episodes and then you're cutting your clips, when you cut your clips, you're editing them for pace and you're putting in a bunch of B-roll, maybe you're throwing in some music, and you're drastically changing the style away from that of the full episode, might be a good idea to put it on its own channel, because it's a different style of content, and you could run the risk of turning people off who like the format and style of the full episodes versus clips, and vice versa. Let's see, the possibility of audiences that would only consume full shows versus clips, and vice versa. So again, that's kind of related to the first point. If you think that that the audiences that you will get, the subscribers you will get for your full podcast episodes would be different from those who would only want to watch your clips, might be good to split them up. If you believe that those audiences would overlap and would enjoy consuming both full episodes and clips, combine them into one. If you have two channels, you avoid oversaturation due to heavy content load. So consider this. Let's say your podcast, you're filming multiple podcasts a week, and with each of those podcasts, you're cutting multiple clips, and from those clips, you're creating multiple YouTube shorts, and you're uploading, dozens of videos a week onto YouTube. If you're someone like me who prefers to consume YouTube, or often consume YouTube by just kind of flipping through my home feed and seeing what's new from the people that I subscribe to, if I'm subscribed to your podcast channel and you're posting this content, all of this content all the time, you're just going to flood my feed, and you're going to overpower and just sort of overshadow everyone else that I'm subscribed to. And that can get quite annoying. Like, there's one thing to sort of constantly remind people that you're there, and you have fresh content. It's another thing to just completely spam people and annoy people with endless streams of content, much of which they may not even be interested in. So to avoid oversaturation, consider splitting into two channels.